Saturday morning came. Tom came out with a bucket full of white paint and a big brush. It was a nice day for fishing or swimming, but Tom had to work. He stood before the fence, which was high and long. Tom looked at the fence and said to himself, "Well, it will take me many months to paint the whole fence." Tom painted a little and then stopped painting. He took a deep breath and looked at the long and high fence. He knew that his friends would see him working and make fun of him. He thought of running away from work, but soon he gave in. He wet the brush and began to paint a little. He painted along the top and then the bottom of the fence. He looked at what he had done and saw he still had a lot of work to do. Then he stopped painting. When Tom was sitting on the ground, Jim, who worked for Aunt Polly, passed by. He was going to get water. He looked happy. The boy said, "I am going to get water. What are you doing?" Tom said, "I am painting the fence." Jim said, "Work hard. See you later." Tom said, "Wait a minute. May I ask you a favor?" Jim said, "Sure. What is it?" "I'll be glad to help you." Tom said, "I will go and get the water if you please paint the fence." "I'm sorry, I can't, Tom. I must get the water for Aunt Polly. She wanted you to paint the fence and me to get the water. She'll be very angry if we switch our jobs." Tom said, "Do not be afraid of Aunt Polly. You know she talks a lot, but talk never hurts anyone. Well then, I will give you a gift if you paint the fence for me." Jim wanted to know what the gift was, but he was afraid of Aunt Polly. Jim said, "I'm afraid I can't." Tom suddenly laughed and shouted, "I'll show you an old scar on my foot. You would love to see it, wouldn't you?" Jim was only human, and he was eager to see it. He agreed to paint the fence and said, "All right, I will paint the fence if you show me the old scar." As Jim looked down to see Tom's foot, Aunt Polly walked out of the house. The next moment, Jim was running down the street with his water bucket, and Tom picked up the brush and began to paint the fence as fast as he could. As soon as Aunt Polly walked into the house again, Tom stopped painting and began to think about how he could get help. An idea came to him. Tom picked up his brush and started to work again. Soon after, his friend Ben Rogers appeared. He was eating an apple. He was making strange noises as he walked. He was imagining that he was a boat with a bell, as well as the captain of the boat. He made strange sounds and noises as he walked. After making the sounds of a riverboat, Ben shouted orders in a loud voice. "Ding, ding, dong." Then he cried out, "Turn the boat and keep going." A few moments later, Tom shouted, "Slow her down to a full stop." Then there was no more sound. Ben came very close to Tom and stopped. Ben shouted to Tom, "Is it you, Tom? Oh, how great you are to work on Saturday when everybody else is having fun." Tom said nothing. He didn't even turn from his work. Then Ben shouted, "I'm very glad to see you working so hard on Saturday. The great Tom is working in the sun, and the great Ben is going swimming. I guess the sun must be rising from the west if I can see Tom work so hard." Tom continued to paint. He did not turn from his work, nor did he even look at Ben. "Hey, Tom," Ben said, "you love to work, don't you?" Tom painted a little and then stepped back to see what he had done. Tom moved his paintbrush slowly, and painted a picture of a girl with a beard on her face. "I'm very sorry to see you working so early in the morning. I'm going swimming in the river," said Ben. Tom turned suddenly. "I didn't know it was you, Ben." Ben said, "Do you want to go swimming with me?" "No," Tom said, "not now." He returned to his painting. "You have to work for a long time, don't you?" "Oh, what do you mean? This is not work. I really love to paint." Ben laughed. "You mean you like painting?" "Well," Tom said, "no boy is given a chance to paint every day. I can go swimming any time." He kept painting the fence. He stepped back, looked at what he had painted, and admired his work. Now Ben was interested in painting. He thought Tom was really enjoying the work. Then Ben said, "Let me paint a little, Tom. I think I'm good at painting." Tom said, "No, I think you can't paint as well as I do, and this fence must be done very carefully." Ben was more and more interested in painting. He stopped eating his apple. "Tom, let me paint a little," he asked. "No, I'm sorry, Ben. Aunt Polly wants this fence to be perfect." "Oh, Tom, let me try. I'll be very careful. Here, you can have a bite of my apple." "I'm sorry, I can't." "Then I'll give you all of my apple." "Well, if you insist, I may as well let you paint a little." Finally, Ben was given a chance to paint. He was sweating in the hot sun while Tom sat in the shade of a tree eating the apple. Soon, more boys came along. They stopped to laugh at Tom, but they stayed to paint the fence. By letting them paint, Tom became very rich. Now he had a piece of blue glass, a dead cat, several toys, a doll, and many other things. The whole fence was painted 3 times, even though Tom himself did not work at all. Tom had learned a great lesson in life about human nature. When something is hard to get, people want it more. It is needless to say that Aunt Polly was very surprised when she saw the painted fence.